I'm Evan from evanflies.com, and I'm here with Bill Kerchenfaut and Bob Button. Bob, how and when did you get into flying?
My father was the aviator in our family, and he had Navions and raced Navions, and always had the dream of wanting to own a P-51. A very frugal man, invented the one of the first mechanical tomato harvesters, and he had a Mooney Mustang that he'd fly to Mexico in, and because Navion wasn't fast enough and it wasn't high altitude, so he'd go down there, and that's when they started harvesting tomatoes first in Mexico before they came here. And unfortunately, he was killed in that airplane in 75, and I started flying to the chagrin of my mother in 1981.
Oh, so how did you get interested in air racing?
I tell you what, what do you call him? Oh, Bill DeStefani. Now, actually, I went down to meet Bill DeStefani because I wanted to buy a Mustang when I turned 40, and this airplane was, and there was Delbert Williams flew, and I really just wanted to buy a Mustang. The air race thing was somewhat secondary, but I had spent the first part of my life working and didn't have an opportunity or take time to race boats, motorcycles, cars, or anything in that fashion. So when I looked at the airplane and he started fantasizing to me about the air racing, it was gaffing in the boat.
Right. So how long have you had Voodoo? And was it a race plane before you bought it?
It was a race plane before we bought it. It was the Pegasus Air Racer.
Oh.
And we bought it in 1995. Actually, we bought it in December of 94. And we went to Phoenix with Delbert in it in 1995, and then Bob Hanna in Reno in 95. So this will be our 16th year.
Cool. So what's it like being on this team? Must be a lot of fun working with all these great guys. Do you have some stories you can share?
Oh, those stories are X-rated. But hey, what a good bunch of guys. It's just fun. That's what I like about having our monthly meetings is as much being productive to aviation and air racing as it is just hanging with the guys. Fun bunch. No attitudes. Everybody's pulling the rope in the right direction, and we're all purpose built basically to try and put this Voodoo in the winner's circle.
Right. How about you? Anything you'd like to say?
Oh, I think I've been on a lot of race crews, and I got to tell you that Bob Button is probably the best owner I've ever worked for. Not just because he's sitting there, but I sincerely mean that. I agree with Bob 100%. This is probably one of the best race crews that's ever existed.
Right. So do you like being a crew chief? It must be really tough.
I'm not really a crew chief on this. They let me hang out around here. J.C. Calkins is a crew chief on this airplane. And I enjoy helping them out and, being a part of them, letting me be part of this.
Oh. So, Bob, was it tough to start letting Will race your plane?
My wife is thrilled to let Will race the airplane. And as I've said in the past, I worked my way up the ladder. I learned to fly the Mustang. I learned to formation fly, and I went to PRS and trained and had a lot of everybody's your friends. It's such a small environment and a group of people there. All my friends helped me, and when I went out to race, the first couple of years we had engine issues, and I actually just got to qualify, which was pretty cool. But when I actually got out there to race, I wasn't very good at it, and I have no problem saying that. And my ego didn't drive me to need to be an air race pilot. I'm more of a management person. And my position in managing and working with the team and just being involved in it is really fun enough for me. Will Whiteside is a professional pilot. He is, in fact, in Reno, for $200 you can protest somebody, 200 cash. I got 200 cash. And I was going to protest because every time we went out to practice, he'd be the first guy out on the course. And he'd go out and go around 40 times and You know, with these airplanes, we don't push them that hard because we have a longevity issue with our power plant. So that was my joke with Will. I told him in one of the pilot briefings, I'm going to protest you because you're always the first guy out there. So he learned a tremendous amount, both he and Steve-O this year. And I'm excited to get it a little more together and in the air and get ready for September.
Mm-hmm. So you have a pretty big team of volunteers. Is that the secret to success?
The secret to success in anything is treating people the way you want to be treated, and you have to find people that have the common goal as you have, and we have that. It's a great bunch of guys and girls, darling.
So Bill, you've been on all kinds of air race teams, and you've seen all kinds of changes to make the planes faster. What's left to be done to still get more speed out of the planes? Or are we at the end of piston plane performance?
No, I don't, well, the last part of the question, I don't believe we're at the end of performance. I mean, it's like people talking about the sound barrier. It doesn't exist. And I don't see why we can't make this airplane go faster and faster. It's technology and work and money, and it's just how much effort you want to put into it.
Right. Can you tell me the history of Voodoo?
A little bit of research I've done is it was in the Canadian Air Force, came back to the States in the mid-50s, was crashed twice, and we bought it from Bill Spears, which had made it into an air race. And I believe it was Bill's first restoration, and we basically picked it up from there and have continued to the maintenance end of it. And Bill DeStefani, of course, he and LD, and with a little help from Frank and I, hey LD, he got tired of that, I'll tell you. It taught us a lot about the airplane, and now we took the airframe over about 8 years ago, and now we're doing our own engine program, so we have 100% control of our destiny, which again is just totally exciting to me, because we only look among ourselves for our success, and we're going to gain it.
Right. Bill, what modifications can you tell me about for Voodoo this year?
Well, as you see, the wing is not on the airplane, so we're going to smooth it out. We had some mechanical issues that we wanted to get taken care of. Primarily, we'll be sealing the airplane up and smoothing the wing, smoothing the airplane. The thing we'd like to do is have this airplane mechanically as sound as we can get it, as perfect as we can. And Bob has indicated that he wants to continue on with modifications. And, we'll do what we can this year. Of course, time is always the thing, and next year there'll be more modifications. And the only thing that the limiting factor is whatever you can dream up, you can do.
Right.
And boy, we got a real enthusiastic bunch of guys here. Bob likes to say they're on fire.
So what's the deal with the souped-up Navion and the air race I've never heard of?
Okay, first thing, it's Navy,
Navion.
not Navy, which is a common mistake, but hey, I'll give that to you. The souped-up Navion, again, my father started with the Navions and racing them, and there's American Navion Society, and Bob Dothett is a gentleman that has passed away, was still training young pilots in his 90s, was a flight instructor. And the race is the Dateland to Dothett, which is his airport, and I believe this was the 45th or 50th year. I didn't make it, Will and Frank went down. But it's a timed race. So they go out and you trap the airplanes, and you do everything you can to get your trap speed as slow as you can. And then it's a timed race with the slowest airplane departing first. The theory is that all the airplanes come across the finish line at the same time. And it's, again, it's been going on a long time in all Navions.
So can you share some cool flying stories with me?
Well, sure I can. I think my coolest one's the one I told at the banquet last year about when I made 8 out, and all I could think about when I knew I had the runway made was going down to Bill Kerchenfaut and drinking whiskey. You're so trained for those Maydays that, once you have them and you have enough speed that they somewhat become secondary. But I had a Duke one time, and my wife was in the back, and I told the controller that I was going to go off air for a moment, and I got out of my seat and went and sat in the back, and my wife was not very thrilled about me not being up in the pilot's seat. And as I walked back, I could feel the airplane trimming for my weight because we're changing the CG of the airplane. And I didn't even get to sit down. She scolded me. I had to go right back up and do my job. And in the Navions, we've been, the furthest I've been in Navion is upstate New York. And my son Benjamin was learning to fly. And he flew 40 some odd hours, got second place in one of the races, came back and has never flown again. So I think his co-pilot was a little too antagonistic, maybe, and he'd had enough of that flying. And myself, we've been to the first one of these Navion races we went to was in Colorado, Grand Junction, Colorado, and it was actually with Santa Maria, and then we've kind of been all over. Frank Young. Our right-hand guy here, he was a Navion. He actually flew before I did a Navion. So our families all had Navions. Were in the Navion thing. So that's most of my flying. I'm about a 2,300 hour guy, and probably 800 or 900 hours of that is in the Navion.
Wow. Anything you'd like to add? Nothing?
I'll tell you what happens in Reno on Monday after the whole show. So all that rumor nonsense, don't listen to any of it.
Okay.
If you want the straight scoop, ask me, and I'll tell you the same thing I'll tell you Monday morning. In fact, come help us tear down that big tent I got, too. We can use all the help on Monday.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you.
And for more great interviews, go to evanflies.com. That's EVANFLYS.com. Or just keep listening to Flightline Internet Radio.
You go, boy.
Yeah.